The construction of the new terminal extension has been completed. With the arrival of a British Airways A320 from London Heathrow, the new part of Cardiff Airport was opened in a celebratory ceremony. It has been a long road for the airport getting to this day, but thanks to the dedication of everyone involved, it has been made possible to open the new part of the airport on time. The extension will open up completely new options for Cardiff Airport to put itself, Cardiff and Wales on the international map. With new intercontinental routes in the making, the future of the airport looks as bright as ever.
$100, $50, $40, $30, $20, $10, $5.
Hello and welcome back to Cardiff Airport on this historic day where the airport extension finally has been completed. And it's a good thing as the airport is busier than ever, to the delight of local spotters. Arriving with 40 minutes delay from Frankfurt is this Bombardier CRJ 700 about to pull into the ramp. The challenge for the ground crew will now be to minimize the delay on the outbound flight as much as possible. Almost ready to go is the Bombardier Dash 8 Q400 of Flybe that within the next few minutes should be ready for its flight to Cork. The stairs do however still need to be pushed aside and the pushback truck needs to arrive. The pushback truck is however still busy with this Embraer ERJ145 of Swiss International Airlines that is about to leave back to Basel as soon as the tower has given the pushback clearance. Next up we have a Tupolev Tu-154 of UT Air that currently is starting its preparations for its return flight to Moscow. At the moment, catering is being loaded as well as some first luggage. Next to the Tupolev, we find a Boeing 737-300 of DBA that 10 minutes ago arrived from Munich and now has about 40 minutes left on the ground. The last few passengers are currently deboarding the aircraft that as soon as the last passenger has left will be prepared for the return flight. Ready to go back to Athens in Greece is this Boeing 717 of Olympic. Boarding is completed and the jet bridge is about to be retracted. Meanwhile, the pushback truck is getting in position to push the aircraft out of the ramp. 20 more minutes to go until its scheduled push has this Airbus A320 of BMI that currently is loading the last few pieces of cargo and catering for its flight back to London Heathrow. Boarding is about to start, so everything looks like an on-time departure will be possible. A bit tighter is the situation at this 737-800 of Pegasus that only has 15 minutes left to complete its turnaround if a on-time departure to Izmir is to be achieved. However, the cabin isn't ready yet, which means boarding hasn't started yet. Catering and cargo is also still having quite a lot to load before they will be done, so time is definitely starting to run out. Nordic Aviation, that is operating this MD-90 on the route to Copenhagen on behalf of Scandinavian Airlines, is right now being fueled. In 20 minutes the aircraft should be on its way, which also here could become a bit challenging as boarding cannot be started until fueling has been completed. Already at 1 o'clock this British Airways Airbus A320 arrived as the first ever aircraft here at the new terminal extension as part of the celebration ceremony. Now the aircraft is being prepared for the return flight in 35 minutes, which will bring dignitaries, journalists, aviation enthusiasts and regular passengers back to London Heathrow. This 767-300 of first choice that arrived from Sharm el-Sheikh had the honor of becoming the first ever wide-body aircraft to be handled at the new terminal extension. The aircraft will now be prepared for its next flight, which will bring tourists to Puerto Plata in the Dominican Republic. In the stands on the backside of the terminal extension that already have been used the last few months, we can find a few more aircraft. Where these 3 stands had been handled by bringing passengers to the stands by bus, passengers are now able to be boarded directly from the terminal and walk straight on to the planes. An aircraft where this will happen within the next 10 minutes is this Fokker 100 of Air Berlin that today is flying between Düsseldorf and Cardiff. The aircraft arrived 25 minutes ago and is scheduled to return to Germany with a planned departure time of 35 minutes past 5 in the afternoon. In pushback already is this Boeing 737-700 of KLM that will be returning to the airline's hub at Amsterdam Schiphol Airport after it earlier this afternoon had arrived here in Cardiff. Next to the Flying Dutchman, we find this Embraer ERJ145 of British Airways that arrived from Manchester 35 minutes past 3 in the afternoon and since has been parked here as it's left the active fleet and for now is part of the airline's tactical reserve. Next we find an Embraer ERJ145 of Luxair that managed to arrive a few minutes early and therefore already has reached its final parking position and already is deboarding its passengers. However, unlike the 3 other stands on the backside of the terminal building, this stand can only be reached via bus. So luckily a bus has pulled up to bring the passengers to the terminal. Now, before we head out to the remote stands, it's time for the news. Hapag-Lloyd withdrawal. Hapag-Lloyd Express today announced that the airline will close its Hanover route. An HLX spokesperson said that while the Hanover route had turned a profit, with the fierce competition by newly established routes to Germany by its competitors, the airline expected a significant drop in demand, which had led the company to its decision to close its only route to Cardiff. Alitalia to become new operator at Cardiff. The Italian carrier announced today that the airline will be connecting Cardiff with the airline's base at Milan Linate Airport. The route will be operated by the airline's regional subsidiary Alitalia Express on an Embraer ERJ170. Operations will start already by September. Emirates confirmed as operator of new Middle East route. Emirates was today unveiled as the airline that had been the matter of speculation over the last few months. The airline announced to start a direct connection from its hub in Dubai to Cardiff as of September, using the airline's currently smallest aircraft type, the Airbus A330-200. Over at the remote stands, we find this Bombardier Dash 8 Q300 of Lufthansa that 15 minutes ago arrived from Munich. Due to the high traffic volume at the airport, ground services weren't able to dispatch a bus for the passengers until now. Boarding the last passengers before its departure to Oslo is this Boeing 737-300 of Norwegian that will be departing for the Norwegian capital within the next 10 minutes according to the schedule. Also boarding passengers, but only with 5 minutes left on its scheduled turnaround, is the 737-200 of Ryanair that is getting ready for its next flight, which will bring passengers to Rome. All this is happening while this little Embraer ERJ170 of LOT is taxiing past on its way to the ramp. The aircraft has just arrived from Warsaw to where it shall return in about 35 minutes time. In the middle of its turnaround is this Boeing 737-500 of Air Baltic. With ground crew struggling to keep up, things are rather quiet over here, but if the aircraft is to leave on time to Riga, things will have to pick up rather quickly. Also rather calm, but in this case on purpose, are things around this Boeing 757-200 of Monarch Airlines that arrived earlier today from Kos. Later this evening, the aircraft will bring sun-hungry passengers to Heraklion. And with that, let's head over to our GAT and maintenance area. On the runway, lined up and waiting for the takeoff clearance, is this MD-82 of Meridiana that with about 15 minutes delay finally is ready to fly passengers back to Olbia on the Italian island of Sardinia. Boarding short of the runway is this 757-200 of Thomas Cook that after it earlier this afternoon arrived from Heraklion, now once again is ready to head back to Heraklion with a new load of tourists. In the cargo ramp, we find a bit of a highlight as a McDonnell Douglas MD-11F of Korean Air Cargo has found its way from Seoul all the way here to Cardiff. Later this evening, the aircraft will return to Korea, which local spotters are eagerly awaiting, almost as much as they have been waiting for this Airbus A300 of Novaspace to finally come out of maintenance. After the aircraft had been almost completely taken apart by technicians and has received a fresh coat of paint, the A300 is now ready to return to its base at Cologne-Bonn Airport. Over at the GAT, we today find this Avro 85 of Titan Airways that was hired to bring the football team of St. Gallen to Cardiff for a pre-season match against Cardiff City. In front of the large BA maintenance hangar, we find this Airbus A320 of British Airways that is being prepared to return to service and will later this afternoon head to Heathrow on a transfer flight. In the hangar, technicians are now focusing on a 777-200 that has arrived from Heathrow for maintenance. The aircraft is expected to remain here in Cardiff for the next couple of days, just like our last aircraft of the day, which is this Airbus A319 of British Airways that also has arrived from Heathrow to start its next maintenance cycle before it can return to active service. Now with that, we have reached the end of our tour around the airport. If you have enjoyed the video, then hit that like button, or if you are new around here, why not hit subscribe. With that, see you in the next episode of Cardiff.
I fight for you every second, to keep your touch in my memory. I try not to regret it. What could have been, should have been. If you would stay with me when you leave, don't forget to remember, don't forget to remember me. When you leave, don't forget to remember, don't forget to remember me. Stars in a darkened sky. When